But we also have to go on another show, and still watching News Desk. And right now, the Environmental Protection Authority is launching a pilot project to clean polluted water bodies, starting with the River Birim in the eastern region. Let's go now for that program.
So that we can
Thank you very much, Carlos. So this is the state of the Birim River. It is flowing, and you can see the rate at which it is flowing. So I just needed us to witness the states in which the Birim River is in now. Completely polluted. You can see the color. So what we have done is to do a diversion. A little bit of diversion will go behind us, and then do the application there. And what we have done after the application, the diversion will get back to this main river at a certain point. So we can all move to where we've done the diversion, because after the application, it will come back into the main river that is flowing here. So we can move to the from here. We want to fetch some of this water, one for the labs for their tests, and then also for our own witness. So that's the state of Birim River as it is flowing now. Yawo Birim River sesi in nanotechnology, nanotechnology ayedi cleaning yes you know.
So you heard the Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority explaining to us exactly what we should expect here. These are live pictures from the Birim River in the eastern region, precisely in Idukrum in Chebi, and it's a heavily desecrated site here in the area. You can see how illegal mining activities have really destroyed this place. And in your picture, you see Professor Kluche leading a team of scientists and experts from the Environmental Protection Authority. And the water you see is actually the river Birim, heavily polluted. And that's what we're going to see, how they actually going to help us, clean the water body. And we are moving towards the very spot where they're going to start the demonstration. We can tell you that the Environmental Protection is the ionic nanotechnology, which is going to be applied to the flowing river, which is the river Birim. That's the chemical you're seeing, nanotechnology, nanocopper technology, which would be applied, and then we'll see if it will have any impact at all on the flowing river. And so that is what is happening. Live pictures from Chebi. The EPA is about rolling out a project, a pilot program for that matter, to clean our water bodies. And that is what you are seeing in your picture right now. So that's the chemical, the nano copper. Then we will see its application impact the heavily polluted water, which is River Birim here in Chebi. And like I said, the Environmental Protection Authority is doing this in conjunction with other state agencies, including Water Resources Commission, the Water Research Institute, into their labs to really check technology which would be applied in here. The chemical has been fully loaded into the machine, and very soon we'll see how it will be applied, and we can see if it's any positive impact on the process. These are live pictures you are seeing on Joy News channel from Chebi, decemicalizing the Birim River, flowing Birim River. It's not a stagnant water, it's actually flowing. And according to the EPA, they are doing this to ensure that residents along the Birim at least get cleaner water. Actually have clean water to drink and for their domestic chores. So that's the process now, and you can see and very soon we will in real time experience what to be done. So as you can see, those from CSIR, the Water Research Institute, are all taking samples of the heavily polluted, river or River Birim, and they are taking samples before even the nano copper technology is applied to the river. So that's what we are seeing here and pretty surely we will see the application of this technology to the river and see if it's actually going to have any positive impact on the river. So this is being led by the Environmental Protection Authority, and together with other state agencies, like I mentioned earlier. They are all here. Yeah, these experts are all here and taking samples of the water. And the understanding is that the nano copper technology has the capacity to extract heavy metal from the river to make it very safe for consumption. So this is the turbidity of the water, as you can see in your picture, even before the nano copper technology is applied. And so that's what we are seeing here, right here in Edukrom in Chebi, a mining site. We will now turn our attention to heating process. As you see in your picture, the application has just begun to a flowing water body, and if successful, this is supposed to clear the water even as it flows. So we are monitoring closely live on Joy News to see the nano copper technology application to the Birim River, which is flowing. So it's important to add that this is not a stagnant water. This is a flowing river, River Birim, and the technology is being applied to it. The objective is to actually make this water safer for residents along the river body. Also, to ensure that Ghana Water Company, the quality of the water that gets to the Ghana Water Company is cleaner for human consumption. So this is just a pilot phase of it to see how effective the nano copper technology is actually going to work. And this, like I said, is being championed by the Environmental Protection Authority. We have all the top engineers and experts from the Environmental Protection Authority right here, led by the Chief Executive Officer of that authority, Professor Nanama Brancloche, who herself is a climatologist, and she has been in the science and experiment space for decades. And we are seeing this now to see how it actually going to work. So they are actually ready to roll out the application process for us to see how things are going to really pan out. And if you can see, like I said earlier, the expert from the water research is, we see some improvement, and already live pictures on authority is actually carrying out an experiment or a demonstration to show us how proper nanotechnology can help clean our heavily polluted water bodies. So that's what you are seeing in your picture now. This is supposed to ensure that residents along this river Birim who rely on it directly are able to get cleaner water for domestic use, and the nanocopper technology, according to the scientists, has the capacity or the efficacy to ensure that this heavily polluted river, which is still flowing, to ensure that residents get it, safer water. Is heavily part of it, and they are here. They've already so the chemical is being applied directly into a flowing river, and there's another part that the water has been contained, in a containment where the chemical would also be applied there, and then there's also a canal through which the chemical would be applied, all to establish if the nanocopper technologies can really have any positive impact on the heavily polluted river, the river Birim. So we'll be taking you through all these three sections or compartments as it has been divided, so you can have a real feel of what is happening here on the ground. So that is the nanocopper technology, and you can see we are beginning to see some change in the water. If you see closely, it has started a kind of impact or change. The color in parts of the flowing river is beginning to clear, even as the dirty water continues to flow into it. And so that is what you are seeing live here. And don't forget, that is a nanocopper technology which is being applied directly to the river Birim. So that has been done here now. We'll be moving to the other part of, like I said, the containment side, to see how that is applied, and then we'll come back here to tell you the true picture and the results as it has been applied. So this is live pictures, and it's being championed by the Environmental Protection Authority in bid to make water, or the river bodies that have been heavily polluted in Galamsey areas, make the water cleaner for residents, and more importantly, to ensure that the Ghana Water Company Limited, the water that ends up in its treatment plant, is cleaner for their treatment, to reduce impacts on its machines. And so to understand what I've seen here now, I'm here with Sydney Dansohi at the Environmental Protection Authority. You are live on Joy News.
Thank you.
Yeah. So share with us what we've seen now at this portion so far.
Yes. So currently and of the ionic copper technology. We are just done a little spraying, waiting for it to start working. We've given ourselves 45 to an hour. As you can see earlier in the morning, we created a lot of simulation points. We have the pond. We also created a mini river across where we all go and do same demonstration there. But this one, because we want to be sure that yes, we can work effectively in flowing river. So before we did this, we took into consideration the flow rate of the water and then the quantity to apply per the speed. So we've taken all those into consideration before applying the chemical.
The concern for many is that the polluted water still is flowing into this ultimately.
Yeah, I believe the President of the Republic entrusted this mandate into the hands of the EPA, led by Professor Nanama Brown Kluche. So we know what actually we are doing, and we've just given you the time. Give us an hour, and we'll come and explain. We don't want to jab the gun. We just want Joy to relax, report to the viewers that this is a procedure. This is the first step. We've started. We have a long day today, so let's just wait patiently. Viewers, wait patiently, and let's see what EPA can deliver.
Okay, tell us. We've seen some samples being taken. Who are those taking the samples, and for what?
Yes, before we do the application, we want to be sure of the state of the water, whatever chemical that is present. So we have Ghana Water Company reps. We are working with Standards Authority. We are working with CSIR. EP also we also engaged a private firm called Pulse Technology to Science Plus also to also pick samples, and then Water Resource Commission. EPA itself is also taking samples. We want to be sure of the results pre the application and post application. Yeah.
Okay, so we are moving to the containment now, where the water is. You're going to apply that. So you are in some 45 minutes to 1 hour. We are likely to see some change. Already, we've seen some change happening. Is that it? Can you confirm if that is what we will see ultimately?
Definitely, I don't want to tell for now, but I'm sure this is part of the process.
Okay. So you heard from Sydney Danso, who is the director in charge of risk and is really happening here, but like rightly indicated by the director in charge of risk and strategy, after some, we will come back to this same get cleaner water to depend on, and ultimately the water that gets to the Ghana Water Limited treatment plant becomes safer for their treatment, to ensure that we all get cleaner water as the fight against galamsey continues. So we are live here at Chebi, and we'll try to see if we can like we indicated, it's a demonstration here, and the experts definitely cannot ascertain that, and that's why the Ghana Standards Authority and all other state institutions are here taking their samples. Illegal mining menace, which has heavily polluted our water bodies. And so, agenda, why? So,
So you're still live on Joy News, and we had there just a while ago my colleague Carlos Coloni with the EPA team in Chebi in the eastern region, and there is the river Birim. For years it has been polluted by mercury, copper, lead, cyanide by galamseyas, and impacting the river bodies that feed those communities. You know, we've heard from scientists who say it will take years to be able to purify such water bodies heavily polluted by metals that are used by illegal miners. But as a first step, the Environmental Protection Agency is leading the process. They've started a first step of dechemicalizing the water, and they started with the Birim River. Earlier on, we saw a demonstration by some of the personnel of the Environmental Protection Agency spraying some solutions into a flowing river, and also portions of the water in a containment. And we saw earlier that technology known as a nano copper technology is supposed to purify the water or dechemicalize it. That's the technical word that has been used over and over again. And dechemicalize refers to the process of removing, neutralizing, or reducing hazardous chemical contaminants from a polluted water source. And just as you see on your screen, that is what is being done at Chebi with the Birim River. And we saw there earlier that substance sprayed into the water. Already we're seeing some changes. The color of the water has begun to change. Initially it was death. I mean, you can see it from your screen. It's very brown. But after the chemical was sprayed into the water, we began to see that it started changing from that brownish color to some sort of greenish, you know, changing over. We're hoping to know exactly how far those changes will go. We do not know exactly what it will change into, but we are here to know what it will look like. And according to the officials, it is going to take about an hour to see full changes to the Birim River. So now on your screens, we're seeing officials gathered around the water bodies and still following that solution sprayed into the river. The changes are continuing. We can see progress with what is happening. At least the water in the containment, we're seeing that it is being changed from the banks or the sites of the containment. And we see that it's been cordoned off so that there's no form of interference from community members. We also know that those areas have been heavily polluted by illegal miners, which is not supposed to be. The Birim River is one of the most important water sources in the eastern region that serves for the needs of the people in that area. And so we're still on it. We're trying to understand what the EPA is doing way before this time. EPA chairwoman, the boss of EPA, had earlier indicated that this is one of the steps that they're going to take to ensure that the water bodies that have been polluted heavily by metals will be purified. So we're still on it, trying to get details of that. And this is just a pilot project to clean that polluted water. So the pilot project is being started with the Birim River in Chebi in the eastern region. My colleague Carlos Caloni is still there for us, and he's taking us through the process. He will be taking us through step-by-step process to get an understanding of what is happening. The scientists are there. They are also ensuring that the changes, the decemicalization of the water takes place. And as you know, illegal mining activities have rendered many of the country's water sources unsafe for human consumption. We also know that illegal mining activities have destroyed the work of many of the residents in those areas. But right now, we go back to Chebi and link up with my colleague, Carlos Caloni.
Minimal, because most of the illegal miners don't use chemicals on their site. In the past, some used to use mercury. We know some have also started using sodium cyanide. But those ones are those who are processing the hard rock ore material. But in this area, it's typically alluvial. So what they do is the main source or the main chemical water. But notwithstanding, we have some heavy metals which naturally occur in the geology formation. So you might have cadmium, you have cobalt, you have copper, you have potassium, all of them occurring naturally in the ground. If not disturbed, they are situated in the soil. But when it's disturbed by human activities such as mining, then it's liberated into the water bodies. So there's a likelihood that we might have all these heavy metals being liberated into the water bodies. But the main pollutant of concern here is the physicals. When I talk physicals, I mean the color, the turbidity, the total suspended particulate matter. So that is what normally we are able to see by our eye. So then when you see the water turning brown, we say our water body is polluted. But then that coloration, it's basically a physical pollution, and that is easy to manage than the chemical pollution.
And so your name again?
Haron Harrison Afo.
And you are the
Deputy Director, Mining Department, EPA.
Okay, we've been briefed about this ionic nano copper technology.
Wholesome or potable. So by so doing, it chemicalizes the water. We have Ghana standards for drinking water, for surface water, and all that. So what the chemical seems to achieve is not to remove it entirely, but is to reduce the concentrations to levels which
Well, we're still on the water cleaning technology in Chebi in the eastern region, just as we heard from the officials of the EPA there. We understand that that process is to reduce the concentration of the metal as in the the metal concentration in the water body there. And we know that that is heavily polluted. Years of illegal mining activities, and that means that mercury, copper, lead, cyanide is heavily concentrated in that water body. But with the use of that technology, nano copper technology, this technology will only clear the physicals, the heavy metals there, reduce that concentration in the water body. And so you may not see it as the Birim River was initially, but at least we know that that heavy concentration of metals will be reduced with the substance sprayed in the water body. And so this is the first of many processes that will be taking place across the country, but is starting with the Birim River in the eastern region. And this is part of the EPA's mandate to protect the environment, including water bodies. The EPA is piloting this new water cleaning technology in collaboration with key stakeholders, such as the Water Resources Commission, the CSIR, and also the Water Research Institute and Ghana Water Limited, among others, to bring respite to the millions of Ghanaians, especially in Galamsey communities. And this demonstration has been going on for over an hour now, and we're still waiting patiently to see how this water is going to change. But at least we have an idea that it is going to reduce the metal concentration that has been pumped into the river as a result of illegal mining activities over the years. And if we talk about these heavy metals, we're talking about mercury, we're talking about copper, talking about lead, and also cyanide. And these are very poisonous substances in the water bodies that are very detrimental to our health and often render these water bodies, not consumable for the residents in these areas. But with this technology, we are hoping that something can be done. At least when the metals are reduced in the water body, it can be safe for consumption. But we'll get to know more about this process from my colleague Carlos, who is live on the ground with officials of the EPA and also Ghana Water Limited and also the Water Resources Commission and CSIR. They are, piloting this process, leading in this process, and if it's successful, definitely there's some hope in sight. At least the fight against Galamsey is taking shape, with EPA taking the first step of dechemicalizing water bodies heavily polluted by metals as a result of illegal mining. We're going back to Chebi, and we're still, observing the process closely to understand how this change is going to come about. We've already seen that they have sprayed a certain substance. We understand that technology is known as the nano copper technology, and that will reduce the concentrate of heavy metals in the water body. Let's go back to Carlos to give us more updates on what's happening in Chebi.